It's one of these places in the ancient world where the history is layered so thick you hardly even know where to begin. But below my feet is the mystery made by man.
There's an entire world beneath us that almost no one talks about. Cities without skies, cathedrals made of salt, tunnels that stretch for miles with no end in sight. These places weren't made to be visited, and some weren't meant to be found at all. But once you see them, you'll never look at the ground the same way again. These are 23 insane underground structures that no one knows about. Number 23, Slanic Prahova salt mine. Beneath the rolling hills of Romania hides a space so massive it could swallow an entire football stadium with room to spare. But this isn't a cave or a bunker. It's an underground cathedral made entirely of salt. Welcome to the Slanic Prahova salt mine, Europe's largest salt mine, buried deep beneath Prahova County, just 100 kilometers north of Bucharest. It plunges more than 200 meters into the earth and stretches across an unbelievable 80,000 square meters. That's nearly 12 times the size of the White House. Originally excavated in the year 1938, this vast salt labyrinth was never just about mining. Hidden inside are 14 colossal chambers, each towering up to 55 meters high. The air is crisp and dry with a steady 12 degrees Celsius all year round. Perfect for halotherapy, a treatment that draws people with asthma and allergies from around the world. But it's not just a wellness retreat. The mine is home to salt sculptures of Romanian heroes, underground sports tournaments, and even experimental science tests. One level above, the Mihai Gallery was once used to simulate cosmic radiation shielding. You can't take an elevator anymore. Since a minor collapse in 2014, visitors are driven down in small buses. It's eerie, surreal, and unforgettable. And somehow, almost no one knows it exists. Number 22, Intercontinental Shanghai Wonderland. You've heard of skyscrapers reaching for the clouds. Now meet the hotel that dives into the earth instead. Just outside Shanghai, in an abandoned quarry once destined for dust, rises one of the most mind-bending structures on the planet, the Intercontinental Shanghai Wonderland. But here's the twist. Only 2 floors are above ground. The remaining 16 plunge nearly 90 meters into the rock. 2 of those are completely underwater. This luxury hotel took 12 years to build and cost nearly $300 million US. It opened its doors in November of 2018, and it redefined what architecture could be. Every one of its 337 rooms faces a dramatic cliff wall or an emerald-colored lake formed by rainwater over decades. The elevators are built inside a cascading glass waterfall. The restaurant? It's 5 meters underwater, beside a glowing aquarium. And if you're feeling bold, there's a glass-bottom bridge hanging right over the quarry's edge and a climbing wall built into the stone face. Designed by architect Martin Yachman, this so-called earth scraper turned a geological scar into a futuristic resort. From certain angles, it barely looks real. And yet somehow, despite being one of the greatest architectural feats in the world, almost no one's ever heard of it. Number 21, Boulby Underground Laboratory. Over a kilometer beneath the surface of England, in a place where sunlight has never reached, scientists are hunting for something no one has ever seen: dark matter. This is the Boulby Underground Laboratory, buried 1,100 meters below the windswept cliffs of North Yorkshire. Hidden inside a working polyhalite and salt mine, this lab is one of the deepest scientific research facilities on Earth. And it's not just deep, it's quiet. Down here, the thick rock blocks out cosmic radiation, creating the perfect environment for experiments so sensitive, even a stray particle could ruin the data. Boulby's crown jewel is its work in particle physics. Experiments like drift and DM ice are trying to detect dark matter, the invisible stuff that scientists believe makes up more than 85% of the universe's mass. But the lab doesn't stop there. It's also a hotspot for astrobiology, testing how life might survive on Mars. There's a project using bacteria to study how organisms adapt to complete darkness and crushing pressure. Others explore how to grow food in lunar soil or use bugs to mine minerals in space. Most people don't even know this place exists. But deep beneath British soil, in a salt cavern far from the public eye, the secrets of the cosmos are slowly being decoded. one silent atom at a time. Number 20. The oppidum. From the surface, this looks like a peaceful countryside estate in the Czech Republic. But press the right button, and the earth opens up. This is the oppidum, a billionaire's bunker so massive and secretive, it's been called the world's largest private apocalypse shelter. Hidden beneath more than 300,000 square feet of reinforced ground, it's not just built to survive catastrophe, it's built to enjoy it. Originally designed during the Cold War, the oppidum has been transformed into a high-security palace. A concealed hydraulic ramp lowers into a subterranean garage called the Parc Fermé, leading to a biometric airlock and blast-proof doors. Beyond that, a world no one expects underground. 16-foot ceilings, a private spa, a luxury cinema, a swimming pool, and even an art gallery with museum-grade security. Every room is finished like a five-star hotel, because here survival isn't supposed to feel like a sacrifice. The oppidum can support life for up to 10 years completely off-grid. It has its own food stores, water purification systems, independent energy supplies, and air filtration units capable of blocking nuclear, chemical, and biological threats. This isn't science fiction, it's real, and it's already built. When everything above starts to fall apart, there's one place ready to go dark and stay golden, but only if your bank account has enough zeros. Number 19, Ozkonak Underground City. There's an underground city in Turkey where invaders were once met not with arrows, but boiling oil poured through secret stone pipes. Hidden beneath the slopes of Mount Idis in Cappadocia lies Ozkonak Underground City, a sprawling, hand-carved refuge built right into volcanic rock. Located just 14 kilometers northeast of Avanos, this city wasn't even discovered until the year 1972, when a farmer noticed his irrigation water mysteriously vanishing into the soil. What he found beneath was astonishing. Believed to date back to the 4th century before the Common Era, Ozkonak dives down 10 levels, although only 4 are currently open to the public. Unlike other underground cities in the region, Ozkonak features a network of narrow 5-centimeter tunnels that once allowed people on different levels to communicate, or, during a siege, pour scorching oil onto intruders below. The structure is remarkably strategic. The upper levels house livestock, the middle levels served as homes, kitchens, and even a winery, while the deepest areas were designed for defense. Some corridors are so narrow only one person can pass at a time, an ancient choke point to trap enemies. Complete with ventilation shafts, water wells, and rolling stone doors that could seal entire rooms, Ozkonak is more than a shelter. It's proof that centuries ago, people built entire worlds below ground. Number 18, Salina Turda. Underneath a quiet Romanian town lies something you'd never expect, a glowing, echoing cavern where you can ride a boat, play mini-golf, and spin on a Ferris wheel, all inside the earth. Welcome to Salina Turda, one of the oldest salt mines in the world, and easily one of the strangest. First documented in the year 1271, this underground world was actively mined until the year 1932. Since then, it's been everything from a World War II bomb shelter to a cheese warehouse. Today, it's a surreal underground amusement park carved 120 meters below the surface. Inside the Rudolph mine, which stretches 80 meters long, 50 meters wide, and 42 meters tall, you'll find an amphitheater, bowling lanes, and even ping-pong tables, lit by massive chandeliers suspended from salt-covered ceilings. But the true gem is the Teresia mine. It plunges 90 meters down and holds a still, black underground lake. Right in the center floats an eerie salt island formed entirely by nature. And yes, you can row around it in a paddle boat. The temperature stays at a cool 10 to 12 degrees Celsius year-round, and the salty air is said to help with respiratory health. More than 600,000 people visit every year, but somehow it still feels like a secret trapped in stone. Number 17. Mines and Catacombs of Paris. Just past the charm of Paris's cafes and cobblestone streets lies a secret world, a city beneath the city, carved in stone and filled with the bones of over 6 million people. Welcome to the Catacombs of Paris, a labyrinth of tunnels stretching over 200 miles. most of which are completely off limits. But it didn't begin as a mass grave. It began as a mine. For centuries, Paris was built using limestone quarried from deep underground. By the 17th century, the old mines were abandoned and forgotten. Then in the late 1700s, the city faced a gruesome crisis. Cemeteries were overflowing. In some neighborhoods, walls cracked open under the pressure of decomposing bodies. So in the year 1785, officials began moving the dead into the empty quarries. Every night, wagons creaked through the dark, filled with bones from Paris's oldest cemeteries. By 1786, the space was consecrated as the city's official ossuary. But this wasn't just storage. In the early 1800s, Louis-Étienne Héricard de Thury turned it into a hauntingly artistic memorial, arranging skulls and femurs into patterns and etching poetic inscriptions into the stone. Today, only about 1 mile is open to the public, 20 meters beneath the streets. The rest is sealed, but rumored to be explored by secret urban explorers known as cataphiles. Number 16, Camp Century. In the late 1950s, the United States Army built a city under the ice, not beneath snow, not in a cave, literally inside the Greenland ice sheet. They called it Camp Century, a sprawling frozen base carved out in 1959. On the surface, it was a scientific research station, but secretly it was part of Project Iceworm, a plan to hide hundreds of nuclear missiles under the Arctic, aimed squarely at the Soviet Union. The camp was made up of 21 tunnels stretching nearly 2 miles, with a hospital, kitchen, workshops, a movie theater, and even a church, all buried under 25 feet of ice and snow. It was powered by the world's first mobile nuclear reactor, the PM-2A, and housed around 200 soldiers and scientists. But the ice had other plans. As the glacier shifted, walls cracked, ceilings buckled, and the entire structure began to collapse. By 1967, Camp Century was abandoned. Left behind, steel, fuel, sewage, and radioactive waste, sealed in by the ice. Here's the twist. That ice is now melting. Scientists warn that by the end of this century, everything buried at Camp Century, including the nuclear waste, could re-emerge. What started as a Cold War secret may soon become an environmental time bomb. Number 15, Skocjan Caves. Tucked beneath the green hills of southwestern Slovenia is a place so massive and surreal, it feels like you've stepped into the pages of a fantasy novel. This is the Skocjan Caves, a jaw-dropping underground wonder carved by the Reka River over millions of years. But this isn't just another cave. It holds the largest known underground canyon in Europe. And once you step inside, the scale will stop you in your tracks. The main chamber, known as Martel's Chamber, stretches longer than 3 football fields. Its ceiling towers nearly 500 feet above, and the roaring river flows far below walkways that seem to float in midair. You'll cross high bridges, hear thunder from hidden waterfalls, and pass through towering stone cathedrals sculpted entirely by nature. The cave system itself winds through more than 4 miles of tunnels and plunges over 700 feet underground. It's not just a natural marvel, it's a historic one too. Archaeological evidence shows humans have been visiting this site for more than 5,000 years. To ancient people, it wasn't just a cave, it was sacred ground. In 1986, Skocjan was named a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and for good reason. Few places on Earth combine ancient mystery, raw power, and staggering beauty quite like this. Number 14, Salt Cathedral of Zipaquira. Hidden nearly 200 meters beneath the surface of Colombia lies one of the world's most breathtaking underground sanctuaries, a cathedral carved entirely from salt. This is the Salt Cathedral of Zipaquira, and it's unlike anything you've ever seen. It all began in the early 20th century when salt miners started carving small altars into the walls of the mine to pray before each shift. Over time, that quiet devotion grew into something far more ambitious. By the year 1954, a full cathedral had been sculpted from solid halite rock, but due to safety concerns, it was eventually closed. Then came something even more extraordinary. In the early 1990s, builders went deeper, nearly 200 meters down, and constructed an entirely new cathedral, which opened in 1995. What they created wasn't just a place of worship, it was a masterpiece. Inside, you'll walk past 14 beautifully lit chapels representing the Stations of the Cross, sculpted directly into salt walls. The main chamber glows with a giant illuminated cross. 3 naves represent the birth, life, and death of Jesus, all connected by a symbolic crack in the rock, representing resurrection. Number 13, Forestiere Underground Gardens. When Baldassare Forestiere arrived in Fresno, California in the early 1900s, he dreamed of planting a citrus orchard, but the land he bought was stubborn, covered in thick, unbreakable hardpan. Most people would have quit. He picked up a shovel instead. With nothing but hand tools and relentless determination, Forestiere began digging. Not just a hole, but an entire underground world. Over the next 40 years, he carved out living spaces, passageways, courtyards, and gardens, all beneath the surface of the sun-scorched Central Valley. What he built became known as a Forestiere Underground Gardens. Inspired by ancient Roman catacombs, the space covers more than 10 acres and includes bedrooms, a kitchen, a fish pond, and hundreds of planters where he grew fruit trees, many of them grafted to bear multiple types of fruit on a single trunk. Down there, it's naturally cool in summer and surprisingly warm in winter. More than a home, it was a living work of art, engineered with air shafts and skylights. Number 12, Greenbrier Bunker. Underneath one of America's most luxurious resorts lies one of its best-kept Cold War secrets. Welcome to the Greenbrier Bunker, an enormous underground fallout shelter hidden beneath the Greenbrier Resort in West Virginia. Built in total secrecy between 1958 and 1962, this 2-level facility was designed to house all 535 members of the United States Congress in the event of a nuclear disaster. The plan was called Project Greek Island, and the scale was massive. The bunker spans over 112,000 square feet and includes dormitories, meeting rooms, a medical clinic, a cafeteria, decontamination chambers, and even a broadcast center to keep the government running while the world above unraveled. It was maintained in absolute secrecy for over 3 decades, operated by government employees posing as hotel TV technicians. No signs, no public records, just a massive concrete vault concealed behind a blast-proof door in what looked like a nondescript wing of the hotel. Then in 1992, an investigative article in the Washington Post exposed the facility. Within days, the government decommissioned it. Today, the bunker stands empty, its rooms preserved like a Cold War time capsule. What was once America's emergency plan for survival is now a tourist attraction. Number 11, Matmata troglodyte homes. In the blistering heat of southern Tunisia, there's a village where homes are not built above ground, but into it. Welcome to Matmata, where Berber families carved entire houses out of the earth itself. From the surface, it looks like an empty desert, but step closer and you'll find wide circular pits, some over 40 feet deep and 50 feet across, leading to rooms hollowed out in every direction. This isn't just shelter, it's survival engineered centuries ago. These homes stay naturally cool in the brutal summer heat and surprisingly warm during icy desert nights. Life here revolves around a central courtyard open to the sky, with kitchens, bedrooms, and storage chambers dug into the sandstone walls. No bricks, no roofs. Just the earth, shaped by hand. But the world only learned about Matmata in the year 1969, after 22 straight days of rainfall caused deadly flooding. The disaster forced locals to ask regional authorities for help. And for the first time, outsiders saw this underground world. While the government offered above-ground houses, many families chose to restore their ancient homes. And in 1977, one of these houses, Hotel City Driss, became famous as Luke Skywalker's home in Star Wars. Even today, many still live underground in Matmata, guarding a way of life as deep and enduring as the stone beneath their feet. Number 10, the dungeon. Right under the feet of Beijing's millions, there's a forgotten world, vast, eerie, and built in absolute secrecy. It's called Dixia Cheng, or the dungeon, and it wasn't designed for tourists. In the late 1960s, during the peak of Cold War paranoia, Chairman Mao ordered the construction of an underground city big enough to shelter nearly the entire population of Beijing. That's 6 million people. Over 300,000 citizens, students, workers, and soldiers dug it all by hand. The result was a sprawling network of tunnels covering more than 80 square kilometers. Inside were schools, dormitories, clinics, grain stores, and even a roller skating rink. Everything a city would need to survive if the world above went up in smoke. But the war never came. The sirens never sounded. And Xiacheng was sealed off, unfinished, unused, and quietly forgotten. A few tunnels were open to tourists around the year 2000, but even those are now closed. Officially, it's just under renovation. Unofficially, no one really knows what still lies down there. Number 9. Naval Museum Complex Balaclava. Hugging the cliffs along Crimea's coast and nestled behind the still waters of Balaclava Bay is a place so secret that for decades, it was as if it didn't exist at all. This is the Naval Museum Complex Balaclava, once known by its Cold War codename, Object 825 GTS. From the early 1950s until the collapse of the Soviet Union, this was one of the most secretive military installations in the world. Built to survive a direct nuclear blast, the entire submarine base was buried under nearly 400 feet of solid rock. Inside, it held a 600-meter canal where nuclear submarines could glide silently in and out of the mountain. It housed torpedo storage, nuclear warheads, repair docks, and enough space to keep thousands of personnel hidden from the outside world. For decades, locals were told nothing. The entrance was camouflaged, the base invisible from the sea. Even satellite images didn't give away its presence. In the year 2003, the base was declassified and turned into a museum. Now visitors walk the same narrow corridors that once buzzed with Cold War tension. Number 8. Derinkuyu Underground City. It started with missing chickens. In the year 1963, a man renovating his basement in the Cappadocia region of Turkey noticed his birds vanishing through a hole in the wall. What he found on the other side wasn't just a hidden room. It was the entrance to an ancient underground city. This is Derinkuyu, the deepest excavated underground city in Turkey, reaching down nearly 300 feet. And it's not just a tunnel, it's a sprawling, multi-level fortress carved directly into volcanic rock. At its peak, it could shelter up to 20,000 people, along with their animals, food, and supplies. Derinkuyu was a city built for survival. It had stables, storage rooms, kitchens, a school with a vaulted ceiling, wine and oil presses, and chapels. Everything needed to sustain life far below the surface. Giant circular stone doors were used to seal off corridors during invasions. Ventilation shafts brought in fresh air. Even wells were dug to access clean water without surfacing. For centuries, people used Derinkuyu to hide from war, especially during the Arab-Byzantine conflicts. It remained in use until the early 20th century, when the last Christian residents of the region were displaced. Today, only a portion is open to visitors, but the scale is staggering. Number 7. Cave of Crystals. Our next structure looks like something out of science fiction, a glowing glassy cathedral buried deep inside the earth, but this place is very real. Welcome to the Cave of Crystals, hidden beneath the Naka mine in Chihuahua, Mexico. In the year 2000, miners drilling for silver accidentally broke into a chamber unlike anything seen before. Inside were the largest natural crystals ever discovered, some stretching over 40 feet long and weighing more than 55 tons. These massive selenite giants were born over the course of at least 500,000 years, slowly growing in complete darkness, nourished by mineral-rich water heated by magma from below. But beauty comes with danger. The conditions inside the cave are brutal. Temperatures reach 58 degrees Celsius, with humidity close to 100%. Without a special refrigerated suit and oxygen, a person could survive inside for only 6 to 10 minutes. Today, the cave is sealed and completely underwater. After scientific studies concluded, the Naka mine was allowed to reflood, preserving the fragile crystals exactly as nature intended. You can't visit. you can't see it in person. But buried nearly 1,000 feet underground, the Cave of Crystals remains one of Earth's most otherworldly wonders. Number 6. Matiate Underground City. In the year 2020, a renovation crew in Matiate, Turkey, broke through a wall and straight into history. Behind that wall was a tunnel, and beyond the tunnel, an ancient underground city no one knew was there. This was Matiate, and what they found wasn't just impressive, it was astonishing. Thought to be nearly 2,000 years old, Matiate was carved entirely into limestone and may have once housed as many as 70,000 people. That would make it one of the largest underground cities ever discovered. So far, archaeologists have uncovered more than 50 chambers, including water wells, food storage areas, places of worship, and homes. Coins, oil lamps, and pottery found inside suggest it was lived in continuously for centuries. The city's name comes from the ancient Assyrian language, Matiate, meaning city of caves. But this wasn't just a place to live, it was built to protect. During Roman rule, early Christians used Matiate to escape religious persecution, taking shelter in the safety of the stone. Only a small portion of the city has been excavated, and much of it remains sealed beneath the ground. Number 5. Hospital Cave. Tucked deep inside a limestone mountain on Vietnam's Cat Ba Island is a place that never appeared on wartime maps because it was never meant to be found. This is Hospital Cave, or Hang Quan Wai. Built between 1963 and 1965 with the help of Chinese engineers, it was one of North Vietnam's most secret facilities during the war. From the outside, it looks like just another craggy cliff. But hidden behind thick forest lies a 3-story underground hospital carved directly into the rock. The first floor contained operating rooms, a pharmacy, and wards for wounded soldiers. The second had a physical therapy area and even a movie room to lift morale. The top floor, living quarters for high-ranking officers. It was more than a hospital, it was a fortress. Bomb-proof, invisible from the air, and built with escape tunnels, freshwater access, and natural ventilation. The entire facility remained operational until the year 1975 and was never hit by enemy fire. That's how hidden it was. Locals knew of it, but never spoke its name. Today, visitors can walk through its concrete corridors, still eerily intact. Number 4. Wieliczka Salt Mine. A few miles from Krakow, Poland, there's a place that looks like it belongs in a fantasy novel, except it's entirely real and carved deep underground from salt. Welcome to the Wieliczka Salt Mine, a sprawling subterranean world that's been in use since the 13th century. For more than 700 years, miners carved out over 150 miles of tunnels and chambers by hand. But they didn't just take salt from the earth. They left behind an astonishing underground masterpiece. The mine's crown jewel is the Chapel of St. Kinga, sitting over 300 feet below the surface. Every inch of it, altars, chandeliers, sculptures, even a version of the Last Supper, was sculpted entirely from rock salt by the miners themselves. Declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in the year 1978, the Wieliczka Salt Mine is more than just a historic landmark. It's a symbol of Polish craftsmanship, faith, and endurance. Today, over 1 million visitors come each year to walk its echoing corridors and stand in its glittering, candlelit halls. Number 3. Orvieto Underground Caves. Beneath the cobbled streets of Orvieto, Italy, lies a secret city, one that slept in silence for centuries until a landslide woke it up. In the late 1970s, part of the ground near Orvieto's famous cathedral collapsed, revealing a mysterious opening. What followed was one of the most unexpected archaeological discoveries in modern Italy. A vast underground labyrinth carved into volcanic rock, hidden right below the feet of everyday life. More than 1,200 caves, tunnels, and chambers were uncovered, some dating back over 2,500 years. Originally carved by the Etruscans, these underground spaces once held everything from wells and rainwater cisterns to storage rooms, olive oil presses, and even pigeon farms. Yes, entire flocks lived in dovecotes carved into the stone, feeding families through the centuries. During the Middle Ages, new chambers were added with kilns for firing ceramics and secret passageways used during times of siege. Over time, though, the memory of these tunnels faded. They were sealed, forgotten, and buried. Today, visitors walk through just a fraction of the hidden city. The air is cool and quiet, the stone walls lined with marks from ancient tools, echoing the lives that once filled this darkness with light. Number 2, Cu Chi Tunnels. Just outside Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam lies a maze that once held the power to change the course of battles and vanish armies. The Cu Chi tunnels stretch for more than 150 miles beneath the Vietnamese countryside. What began in the 1940s as a resistance tool against French colonizers became one of the most ingenious wartime networks in modern history. By the time of the Vietnam War, these tunnels were no longer just escape routes. They were fully functioning underground cities. Inside were command posts, hospitals, sleeping quarters, and even makeshift kitchens. Air vents were disguised as termite mounds. Trapdoors led to ambush points. The Viet Cong used them to appear, attack, and disappear without a trace. For U.S. troops, this invisible enemy was terrifying. Entering the tunnels meant crawling through darkness, facing booby traps, and fighting in silence. Special forces called tunnel rats were tasked with this deadly job, one claustrophobic crawl at a time. Today, visitors can step into sections of the preserved tunnel system. The walls are narrow, the air is still, and even now it's hard to believe what was built down there. Number 1, Metro 2. There's a whisper beneath Moscow's surface, a rumor of a subway line that doesn't appear on any map. It's called Metro 2, and for decades people have claimed it exists, a secret parallel transit system built during Joseph Stalin's rule. Known by its code name D6, it's said to run far deeper than the public metro, connecting the Kremlin with the Federal Security Service, a presidential bunker, and even an underground city in the Remenki district. According to leaked reports, the tunnels stretch between 50 and 200 meters below ground, deep enough to survive a nuclear attack. In 1991, a declassified United States Department of Defense document added fuel to the fire, citing underground facilities possibly connected by hidden rail lines. The Russian government has never confirmed its existence, but urban explorers, known as diggers, claim they've found sealed doors and unfinished tunnels that hint at something more. No photos, no official blueprints, just fragments, stories, and speculation. Is Metro 2 real? Or just a Cold War ghost hiding beneath Moscow's polished exterior? No one can say for sure, and maybe that's the most intriguing part, because sometimes the most powerful secrets aren't the ones we see, they're the ones that disappear into the dark. Thanks for watching. See you in our next video.